Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got a little 4-game slate here to kick off your work week on Monday night. A couple Eastern Conference matchups that we are looking at in our game videos. Want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page so you can continue to follow along. We're taking a look at the 76ers playing host to the Miami Heat in this one. Also have our player props for you as well. Might as well go ahead and head to thelines.com. That's where you can check out everything we're talking about here. Getting those player props up on the weekdays now for you guys as well. So make sure to head over there and check out that odds finder tool we have for you guys. You can make sure you're getting the best odds available to you from those U.S. sportsbooks giving you guys bets this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get into this 4-game slate and then talk about our games, Sixers and Heat.
Yeah, and I guess before we do that, I have to both congratulate and make fun of myself for nailing that Bulls over Nets pick up by like 50 at halftime. Totally nailed the first game, and then we were talking under in the Kings-Clippers game, which wound up being the second highest scoring game of all time. So nice way off there, and we're back to the grind here though on a Monday. Feel good about my Celtics -2.5 at the Knicks, kind of like the over there. This game we got the Heat +6 at Sixers, and the total's at 216. Pistons are +6 at the Hornets, and then the Magic +4.5 at the Pelicans. 216 is a really low total for the NBA today, but I mean, that's exactly what we've seen the last 5 times these teams have met in the regular season. In fact, we've seen it average about 200 at a 90 pace, with Philly getting nothing done offensively, with Embiid struggling like he does against nobody else. And for me, I'm just more concerned about how long Joel Embiid can keep this up. I mean, he's playing more consistently than he has in any other season, but he's just doing more on both ends, right? Yeah, like 6 blocks against the Celtics. And he would protect the rim, and then there'd be nobody there to help him rebound. And you could just see the exhaustion every single play up to the point where he just like fishes for free throws so he can get some rest on the other end. I mean, that is a huge part of his game, getting the free throw line. Yeah. Both these teams have very high free throw rate recently. I mean, Miami has at one point was top 5 limiting free throw attempts. They still are in their last 8, huh? And I mean, at one point they were number 1. And number 1 in defensive efficiency. They've just unraveled in terms of just doing exactly the opposite of what you might hope from them. Just not bringing it against bad teams, losing at Charlotte. But I still have a lot more faith in Miami, popping up, bringing up their intensity. Jimmy Butler against one of his former teams here. They've won 3 of the last 5 against Philly here. The one of the recent ones they lost was actually with Embiid out. It was the Tyrese Maxey Sixers, which is a completely different matchup. So they know how to at least make these games low scoring and drag them out. And that's why I don't really think I like Philly to cover 6. If you talk about teasing this in either direction, I would say Miami +10 for sure. I mean, I know they got blown out in Milwaukee, but this is such a different matchup. Like, there's no way Philly's going to spread you out and hit threes from all over the place. Milwaukee hit 19 threes at nearly 50%. It's just a completely different offense. It's just about, can you limit their pick and roll game, and can you limit Embiid, which they've done lately, and which, fatigue is also going to be a factor for him. Just one day off after playing the Celtics down the stretch there.
Yep, and we should give the big man credit for hitting that full court shot as time was expiring. Didn't go in, but I literally just yelled at the top, like that was the craziest shit I'd ever seen. It didn't go in. Either way, yes, I'm with you. That 6 points in this matchup just doesn't feel right. I don't know what Miami would have done. They haven't done anything to give you confidence in them to be able to do anything, cover, score, anything, and really score, man. Like, they couldn't get 100 against the Bucks with Giannis only playing he played like 7 minutes before he had to come out. And yeah, everything about what they're doing is gross. I just starting with like, who is the 3rd best player on this team? I guess 4th best player on this team, really. Like, you've got Bam, Jimmy, and Hero doing plenty, and over their last roughly the last 10 games, really, which is a nice sample size. And Heroes played 8 of those. Bam and Jimmy played pretty much all of those as well. They're averaging close to 70 a game, 20 boards, 13 assists between the three of them. You look at the other around them, they're depending on Oladipo and Lowry, who have played 2 games for Lowry in the last 10. Depot's played 4 in the last 10, including the last like 4 that he's missed because of these injuries he keeps getting. Then you look at Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, and all 3 of them are shooting horribly over their last 10. Really, none of them are shooting better than 45% from the field or 33% from deep, which is really what you depend on a ton from Strus especially, but even Vincent and Martin as well. In these situations, they are 10-5 to the over. I don't want to touch an over between these two teams, even at 216.5. I mean, in these situations where the Heat are away dogs, they're going over in 8 of their last 9 in that situation. So it kind of seems like this is prime for them to just continue to give up points. I mean, they would go over this total in their last 3 because they're giving up like 125 points a game, not even because they're able to get close, more than that on their own. So, playing at the normal slow pace that both these teams play at, that's why, in their last season regular matchups, they played at like a 95 pace between them, just because that's just what they do when they get there. And I think you can expect more of that. I really just like unders in this game. I mean, Embiid's points total is at 32.5 with a 216.5 points total on the game. His point prop is at 32.5. That's just insane to me. I mean, it is indicative of the fact that he's probably begging for help anywhere he can get it. Harden is just not the same scorer that he was. If he's not hitting from 3, don't expect him to get 30 points. And if he's, because it's getting to the free throw line like 7 times a game, they have been a lot better at that in their last roughly 8 games at home, getting to the line like the second most. I mean, the Heat also getting to the line. We know that these two teams do that, but if those foul calls don't get, made for them, and the Heat have been really good at limiting free throws in their last bunch of games as well, which, like you said, they've been number 1 on the season at times, but dropping a little bit as of late, still in the top 5. So you kind of expect, them to be able to at least hang with Embiid. That's the reason that they've been able to win like that playoff series that they won last season, and then even in their last regular season games. The reason Miami's able to hang and do what they do is because they've limited to Embiid to under 20 points a game in those last 4 that they played. I mean, even in the last 8 that they played, when you include the playoffs, they had the same stats against him in their 6-game series where they limited to less than 20 points, fewer than 10 boards, fewer than 2 assists as well, and 7 free throw attempts a game for Joel in that time period. So you're not going to find me taking an over, no matter what the situation is with Philly going over or Miami going over consistently as away underdogs. Like, I'm not paying attention to that. I'm paying attention to these two teams playing each other. And if you think this is going to be a nasty, slobberish game like we both expect it to be, 6 points is just too many at that point. If Philly's not going to have any kind of fluidity to their offense to be able to break away from this Miami team, I don't expect Miami's offense to be able to do shit, but like they're still going to be able to hang around on defense enough to make this like a weird, gross game that they can hang within 6 points.
Yeah, weird, gross game. PJ Tucker, first matchup against his former team as well. These teams actually haven't played yet, and it's going to be a home and away situation where they play again on Wednesday in Miami. We should mention that the Heat, of course, playing games with the injury report. We don't know if Hero or Lowry are going to play, which affects the over in that sense. But I do think if you see Tyler Hero active, that you could get over on 216 here with some confidence. I mean, Philly, their home road splits we've talked about plenty. I mean, they've gone over at an alarming rate at home. Didn't go over against the Celtics, sure, but the pace and the scoring at home, I mean, 120 points per game since the start of December at home. I know the Heat and they're just, their defense hasn't been up to snuff in terms of what it was in recent years. You'd say like, well, that's when the Heat come to town, it's going to be a 105 or below, but I just don't know where their focus is at. And maybe starting Kevin Love is not going to help your defense either. And they're going to try to just space things out a little bit more, play a little bit more shootout style, which you can if you have a playmaker like Hero. It's just, you always have to watch until the last minute with Miami because you don't know who's going to play. But even if they don't have some of these guys, I just have a hard time trusting Philly in this spot after the emotional exhaustion that was their Saturday night game. to just come out and blow Miami away. I just don't see that happening.
No, yeah, the way they had to come back against the Grizzlies the night before, 2 nights before that as well, right? It took everything out of them to be able to win that game by 5 points when they were down by like 21 points at one point. And then that Celtics game, the emotional aspect of giving it away almost in the last couple of minutes. Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to fade Embiid, which means you're fading the 76ers. And if Euro plays, sure, there's going to be more points, and you can feel better about that. He's been sizzling hot from deep as well in his last roughly like 8 games or so, but without him especially, like just not touching that total, to be honest with you. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one, though. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Got another game video up for you, and looking to continue staying red hot on those player props for you guys. So until we see you next, happy betting.